Hello everybody, this is Lunaris Eleron, and tonight I'm gonna talk about, the new season of anime came out. Few of them already came out, so I think for tonight I'm gonna talk something that coincide with my one of my idea in my to-do list. That is after I watch the one of the new anime called Ramen Daisuki Koizumi-san. So Ramen Koisuke Dais what the fuck did I just say? Ramen Daisuki Koizumi-san is a slice of life anime. I've read the manga. I enjoyed the manga. The basic premise is pretty simple. It's pretty linear. It's very focused, very specific. As in, it's all about ramen. It's all about eating ramen in different kind of ramen in different kind of places, and then it's slice of life eating manga. It's not cooking manga. It's an eating manga. It reminds me of Isekai Shokudo. I mean, like eating manga or eating genre is not actually a unique thing. Only that it does not really have anime. It is mostly a very niche genre, usually in in relatively obscure and non-mainstream manga or doujins. Like it reminds me of this Toho doujin about Koichi just going around eating stuff. It's pretty amusing, and what I want to talk that coincide with me with my first impression of watching this ramen anime is that sometimes less is more. What I want to talk about is that by less I mean running time. Running time of an anime. Air time. I'm not sure the proper terminology of this, but sometimes some anime benefit from having a shorter airtime compared to the usual 20 minutes to 20 minutes plus of a typical anime format. And from what I watched in the first episode of this Ramen Daisuke Koizumi-san is that yes, this anime should have been only 10 minutes per episode. The thing is that some some kind of certain story or certain plot, it feels very tiring and repetitive to watch for half an hour, for 20 minutes. It reminds me of something like last season. There's a anime called Boku no Kanojo. Basically, it's a very fan service anime. It has only dirty jokes. It's a bad anime. It's a boring anime. But it is made worse by that. It has 20 minutes runtime. It makes everything so much more tiring to watch. It feels everything feels dragged on for too long. The dirty jokes are not amusing enough for to keep me excited for 20 minutes. That I think it benefits from it benefits. I think it should have been like 8 to 10 minutes per episode. That way, it start fast. It will finish fast, and when you watch weekly, it has a different feeling. When I'm a believer that you should watch anime weekly, but a good anime will not make you feel tired when you are trying to marathon it. But I believe that most anime are made when the script is written, it is made with a weekly format. Unless it's a different type of anime like I don't know, maybe like a Netflix anime, something like that, like Castlevania or something. But my point is that this anime that when certain anime with tiring plot that I cannot stand watching for 20 minutes. If it cut 10 minutes and then I watch another 10 minutes in next week, in the next week, it will feel less tiring. It will how should I say this? It is not tiring as that's what I was getting to. Like Hmm. Example. Yes. I have a couple of example. A bunch of good mini anime that only lasts for 5 to 10 minutes. Like another fan service anime called Seito Kaicho Okusama wa Seito Kaicho. Uh, my bride is a president, something like that. The anime is actually pretty nice. It's kind in the first season at least. Actually it's very fan servicey. The art quality is pretty good. I like the color and the character style design. But the anime itself is very fan service. It has lots of nudity, lots of very characters in very promiscuous position, and sometimes it gets too silly, and the usual very dumb fan service, just like to love rule, something like that. But I'm gonna give it some point that I actually enjoy. I think there's actually some cute moments here and there, because the main characters actually, it's not actually a harem anime, even though it feels like a harem anime with the many female characters. But the two main characters are practically engaged together, and they are living together. They are practically married. I enjoyed it, and what my point was that, because the anime is like 10 minutes long, 10 minutes long per episode, I tolerate it better. I don't think I can watch it. I can enjoy it as much if the anime is 30 minutes per episode. Another anime called Bikini Warriors. It is also a fan service, but it is fan service with RPG, using with RPG jokes, various cliche, various RPG tropes and cliche, making fun of them. It still has a fan service in its very core, but because of the short runtime, I tolerate it more, and I can enjoy it better. So what I've been saying this past 7 minutes is that when I watch Ramen Daisuke Koizumi Science, that when it got to 8 minutes mark, I feel like I'm already tired. I think it should have stopped there, and then go to the and then for the next episode, uh, continue the next 12 minutes, something like that. When I watched the first episode, it's basically three chapters combined into one, and my impression is that the problem is that the transition between the three different chapters is not noticeable. You get what I'm saying? Is that the atmosphere, the feeling of the three different chapters is not distinctive enough. It feels like it feels very prolonged, very deliberately prolonged and tiring to watch, because it's pretty much the same thing. Koizumi orders ramen, and this other the protagonist kinda got awed by all the thing about ramen, and then she eats the ramen, and then she looks ridiculous while eating ramen. It reminds me of Kofuku Graffiti, another not cooking anime, another eating anime, food pornography. Yes, there is such thing as food pornography. And yeah, what I was saying. In Ramen Daisuke Koizumi-san is that in the whole three chapters that combine into one, it kind of repeats the same thing three times in a row, and it just gets tiring. It doesn't help that I think it may be the voice direction, or I think the main characters could have been her dialogues could have been written better, because I don't remember her being this annoying in the manga. In the anime, she's very loud, she's very obstinate and annoying. She's quite unbearable. I don't enjoy her. I don't mind Koizumi herself, but the main characters because the most of the story revolves around her. So I cannot imagine that it's gonna improve anytime soon. And then I think I have no idea why they decided to make this anime a full 20 minutes anime per episode, a full 20 minutes episode, because when I read the manga, this kind of hobby manga, very specific hobby manga, it feels more like a, well, hobby. How should I say this? It's a very hobby thing. It feels like a passion project, and it doesn't really make a good showing for an anime because of a different medium and different format. And I honestly think that it should have been a short anime. I think 8 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes long. Maybe just one or two chapter of the manga in one episode instead. And then talking about short anime, I think there are times when, oh yes, another example. 2 seasons ago, Surezura Children. It's a very solid. I love it. It's a really good anime. A perfect combination of silly, whimsiness, romantic romance, comedy, and just bizarre humor. I've read the manga, and I think not the manga. It's more like a web series, and I think the anime captured it very faithfully. And the decision to make it a 10 minutes anime instead of full 20 minutes anime is a good one, because the web manga is very short. Usually each couple's episode is usually very brief, and do not need to be dragged on too long, and the 10 minutes format really prevents the anime from becoming stale or purposely dragged on. That's an example of a good 10 minutes. Another example of good anime that I think that if you turn it to 20 minutes, it wouldn't be as good. In another side of things, there's also another anime. There's also various anime that I think is too short that I think should have gotten longer. For example, last season, fall 2017, there's an anime called Osake wa Fufu ni Natte Kara. It's a slice of life anime about, instead of eating ramen, it's about drinking cocktail and alcohol, something like that. It's 3 minutes long per episode, but I actually like the concept, and the characters are pretty likable, especially that it involves adults and married adults and not just high school. Yes, that's another thing. In Daisuke Ramen Koizumi-san, is that the main characters are high school student. The characters are high school students, so that reinforced more on the aspect that it got me tired to watch it, because the the character setup is very typical and nothing new. But in Osake, the main characters are a bunch of adults, married adults. So it's refreshing to look at a more mature characters, more mature relationship, loving relationship, something like that. And I kind of wish Osake has something like maybe 6 to 8 minutes per episode. I would love to watch it, especially that there's also some other side characters that the anime doesn't get to explore much. And my friend read the manga and said that it's not really that good, but I think maybe in the anime format could be better. It also reminds me another man. There's a lot of short anime that I watch. I watch too much anime. There's another short anime called Inugami and Nekoyama few years ago. I think it is such a shame that the whoever that the artist and the whoever responsible that decided to make it an anime, decided to make it a short anime instead of a fully fleshed out 20 minutes per episode anime. I think the character setup and the humor style can totally accommodate 20 minutes per episode anime. It is such a shame that it only got like 5 minutes episode anime. And when I read the manga, I compared it to the anime. Even the anime skip a lot of things in the manga, and it is such a disappointment that I don't think I will ever get to watch the anime of Inugami and Nakayama proper anime. Anyways, what I want to say, what I want to conclude is that sometimes less is more. And thank you for listening. Goodbye.